Most people believe strength is lost over years, but I've seen it return overnight. Not with pills, not with pain, but with presence. You see, after the age of 60, the body changes its rhythm. It no longer asks for intensity, it asks for timing, a different kind of listening. In the quiet hours before sleep, something remarkable happens. The body stops moving and begins repairing, but it can only rebuild with what you offer it, and that is where most people unknowingly fall short. Not because they lack effort, but because they lack the right support at the right time. Most people believe strength is lost over years, but I've seen it return overnight. Not with pills, not with pain, but with presence. You see, after the age of 60, the body changes its rhythm. It no longer asks for intensity, it asks for timing, a different kind of listening. In the quiet hours before sleep, something remarkable happens. The body stops moving and begins repairing, but it can only rebuild with what you offer it, and that is where most people unknowingly fall short, not because they lack effort, but because they lack the right support at the right time. I remember one man, his name was Elias, 82 years old, quiet, proud. He told me the stairs had become his enemy, not from injury, but from something softer, a quiet unraveling of strength. His doctor said it was normal, just aging, but Elias believed differently. So we tried something simple, one small addition to his evening ritual. Not a treatment, not a workout, just food. 12 hours later, something shifted. He stood with ease, climbed 2 steps without thought, and in that moment I saw it. Not just strength returning, but hope rising quietly beneath it. This is not magic, it is biology aligned. Most people believe strength is lost over years, but I've seen it return overnight. Not with pills, not with pain, but with presence. You see, after the age of 60, the body changes its rhythm. It no longer asks for intensity, it asks for timing, a different kind of listening. In the quiet hours before sleep, something remarkable happens. The body stops moving and begins repairing, but it can only rebuild with what you offer it. And that is where most people unknowingly fall short, not because they lack effort, but because they lack the right support at the right time. I remember one man, his name was Elias, 82 years old. He lived alone in a modest home near the edge of town, a teacher once, a dancer once, but now just a man watching the world from his window. He told me the stairs in his house had become a wall. His legs, he said, felt like paper, still there but no longer dependable. The fear wasn't falling, the fear was needing help to stand again. I've accepted it, he said quietly. This is what happens. But something in his voice betrayed that acceptance, a tremor of frustration, a quiet grief. I asked him what he ate before bed. He looked surprised, as if no one had asked him that in years. Nothing, he said. Isn't that better? Isn't food before sleep bad? We spoke that evening, not of medicine, not of treatments, but of nourishment, timing, simplicity. That night, he followed the ritual I offered. Just one food, and the next morning he stood from his chair with ease, no wobble, no hesitation. My knees didn't shake, he told me, and I didn't have to brace the table first. It wasn't a miracle, it was something older, quieter, more trustworthy. His body hadn't given up, it had simply been waiting, waiting for the right moment and the right support. This is what most people never learn. Strength may fade slowly, but with care, it can return swiftly. We often speak of food as fuel, but for the aging body, food becomes more than energy. It becomes a message, a signal, a tool of renewal. You see, your body has a schedule, a rhythm more ancient than language, and each night, when the world grows quiet, the body begins its most important work, not movement, but repair, not output, but restoration. This is the hour when muscle protein synthesis, the process of rebuilding tissue, should begin. But for many older adults, this mechanism is dormant, not broken. It waits for the right materials. Without them, the body opens its workshop, but has no tools, no bricks, no blueprint, and the hours slip by, wasted. You wake the next day, slightly weaker, not noticeably at first, but gradually, consistently, inevitably. But when the right food is introduced at the right time, something begins to change. Human growth hormone peaks during deep sleep, often around midnight. This hormone is the silent architect of repair. It does not respond to willpower, it responds to availability of amino acids, minerals, cofactors. Think of it like rain falling on a garden. If no seeds have been planted, the water is wasted. But if the body is nourished just before rest, not heavily but wisely, the repair process activates. And this is why some regain noticeable strength within 12 hours, not because they worked harder, but because they finally gave their body the conditions it had long awaited. We often speak of food as fuel, but for the aging body, food becomes more than energy. It becomes a message, a signal, a tool of renewal. You see, the body does not repair when we ask it to. It repairs when it is ready, and that readiness follows a silent clock. Just as the sun and moon trade places, your body too shifts from movement to mending. Around 10 p.m., a deep transformation begins. Blood pressure drops, cortisol, the stress hormone, begins to fall. And somewhere beneath your awareness, a powerful hormone begins to rise, human growth hormone. It does not care how much protein you ate at breakfast. It does not respond to effort. It responds to presence. The presence of building blocks, amino acids, trace minerals, cofactors like magnesium and zinc. Without them, growth hormone still rises, but it has nothing to command. No tools, no scaffolding, no bricks to rebuild what the day has broken. Muscle protein synthesis, the body's silent mason, waits for a spark. In youth, the spark ignites easily. But after 60, the match grows damp. The threshold rises. What once required 1.5 grams of leucine to initiate may now require 3. This is not decline. It is recalibration. The mistake is assuming the body has stopped listening. But it hasn't. It listens more carefully now. Not to noise, but to nuance. In monasteries across Asia, I watched older monks rise before the sun, not with stiffness, but with steadiness. And when I asked how, they did not speak of exercise. They spoke of their nighttime meal, small, intentional, timed with nature. Feed the body before the stars arrive, one said, and it will carry you until the stars return. At first, I didn't understand. But years later, in clinics and research labs, I did. The 12-hour transformation is not magic. It is metabolism in alignment. When food is given at the right hour, in the right form, the body responds immediately. Not with youth, but with dignity restored. I've seen it again and again. Trembling legs steady by sunrise. Hands that grip the rail, now resting at the side, no longer afraid to rise. And always, it began the same way, with one humble food, offered to the body before sleep. The food I speak of is not rare. It's not sold in capsules or hidden behind expensive packaging. It is something you may have passed by for years, without knowing its quiet power. Casein, a slow-digesting protein, nature's nighttime architect. While most proteins rush in, deliver their message, and leave, casein lingers. It moves slowly through the body, releasing amino acids for up to 8 hours, just long enough to support your muscles precisely when they need it most. This is why casein is unlike any other. It does not act like a spark. It behaves like a candle, burning slowly, offering light throughout the darkest hours of night. While you sleep, it works. While your legs rest, it rebuilds. And in the morning, something subtle begins to return. Confidence. The kind of strength that doesn't come from youth, but from feeling capable again. I've seen it in elder students and in myself. One study found that consuming 40 grams of casein before bed increased overnight muscle synthesis by 22%, not after a month, by the next morning. Casein lives in cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, or supplements, but more than the source, it's the ritual. A small bowl, a quiet moment, 1 hour before bed. It's not about the amount, but the timing, presence, and intention. This is how Elias began, not with effort, but alignment. Still, strength must be protected, and what steals it isn't always weakness, but invisible fire, chronic inflammation. It settles in joints, lingers in muscles, blocks recovery before it begins. That's why some elders do everything right and still feel stuck. This is where tart cherries help. Their deep red skin hides anthocyanins, compounds that reduce inflammation. One study found those who drank tart cherry juice before bed had less overnight muscle breakdown. Cherries also contain melatonin, inviting sleep, not forcing it. When sleep deepens, repair begins. James, a retired firefighter, struggled with sleeplessness and a fading sense of self. No new workouts, no medications, just tart cherry concentrate before bed. Within 2 weeks, he slept better and then he felt stronger. I'm still aging, he said, but I'm not unraveling. Cassine gives the bricks, tart cherry calms the fire. Together, they begin the rebuild. But there's another kind of tiredness, the kind no sleep can fix, a heaviness in the limbs, a quiet trembling, as if the body is held together by threads. It's not weakness, it's deficiency. Most often, magnesium. Magnesium supports over 300 functions: muscle contraction, energy creation, nerve signals, protein synthesis. But with age, we absorb less, stomach acid weakens, medications deplete it. The result? Cramps, twitching, weakness. Not from lost muscle, but from a spark gone missing. Magnesium is permission to rest, recover, let go. It activates the parasympathetic system, lowers cortisol, delivers nutrients. It calms the fire within. That's why greens like spinach weren't just side dishes, they were medicine. 1 cup of steamed spinach gives nearly 40% of daily magnesium needs. It's warm, easy to digest, and still recognized by the body. Martha, 78, lived with leg tremors. We didn't change much, she said, just a small serving of spinach each night. Weeks later, her legs steadied. They listened, she whispered. Cassine is the brick, tart cherry is the calm, magnesium is the messenger. The body listens if you feed it right. And yet the script of magnesium goes deeper. Magnesium keeps calcium in check. Calcium contracts. Magnesium releases. Without enough, calcium floods the body, causing stiffness, cramps, poor sleep. Magnesium also activates ATP, our cellular energy source. No magnesium, no recovery. By age 70, levels drop 20 to 30%, not from neglect, but slow depletion. Antacids, diuretics, blood pressure meds, they all drain magnesium. So the system tightens, muscles twitch, and we call it aging. When it's really quiet, starvation. Restoring magnesium is not optional, it's the threshold between tension and release, between sleep and repair. Spinach is great, but not for everyone. Alternatives include pumpkin seeds, gut-friendly; avocado, easy to absorb; cooked black beans, blood sugar support; soaked almonds, mineral-rich and calming; warmed, blended, softened. What matters most is the timing. Evening, when the body begins to slow. Given at the right hour, magnesium improves deep sleep, lowers cortisol, protects blood pressure. This isn't theory, it's biology. The nervous system softens, and in that softening, recovery begins. Casein provides the bricks. Tart cherry quiets the fire. Magnesium says, the danger is past. You may begin again. But strength is more than muscle. It lives in the connection between things, between effort and stability, between muscle and tendon. And that connection is collagen. Collagen is the body's scaffolding, the invisible web of resilience. Without it, strength has no anchor. After 50, collagen declines. By 60, it drops 1% per year. Skin shows it first, but joints suffer deeper. Without it, the body creaks and resists motion. But collagen can be restored, enough to rebuild trust in movement. Ancient kitchens knew this. Bone broth simmered for hours, meat on the bone, tendon-rich stews. They weren't trends, they were tools. Rich in glycine, proline, hydroxyproline, amino acids that rebuild tissues. Taken at night, they match the body's collagen repair cycle during deep sleep. A warm cup of broth before bed is more than comfort. It's a signal. I remember Emily, 83, afraid to sit in low chairs. I don't trust my knees. We didn't send her to a gym, just gave her bone broth. Weeks later, she stood tall. I stood up with only my legs, she smiled. Casein is the brick, tart cherry is the firekeeper, magnesium is the messenger, collagen is the frame. 4 steps, not a program, not a prescription, a ritual. 1 hour before bed, a bowl of cottage cheese or Greek yogurt for casein, a small glass of tart cherry juice for inflammation, a serving of greens, seeds, or avocado for magnesium, a cup of warm broth for collagen support. Simple, gentle, repeatable. I've seen it change lives, not once, hundreds of times. Elders who feared stairs, who hesitated before rising, who felt strength slipping,
Walk again, not by force, but by listening.
Aging is not a decline, it's a conversation. And when you nourish your body with presence, it responds. Not with youth, but with grace. Your strength is not gone, it's waiting for you to return, for you to listen, for you to begin again.